All right. Welcome, everybody. I call the Algonquin Township meeting for September 11, 2019 to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Lawrence?
Here.
Chapman?
Here.
Ramish? Here. Shay?
Yes. And we have a forum. First item I'd like to have us all take just a short period in honor of the people who were victims of the 9/11 disaster in New York, and some are still victims. Please. Okay, thank you. Next item, I want to report that our supervisor, Chuck, is making very good headway on his recovery. He's in good spirits, and we all wish him the very best. Our next item will be, I would like a motion to approve the minutes of the monthly meeting of August 14th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussions on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, the motion has passed by unanimous voice vote to approve the minutes of August 14th, 2019. All right, next item is I would like a motion to approve the transfer of appropriation in town fund $15,000 from capital improvements to legal services for the court. I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion on that?
What does this 15,000 get us?
Who answers that?
I don't know.
Somebody.
It's to pay for the current charges for this month.
For this
Or-
month.
for the
Okay.
attorney.
For the clerk's attorney?
No, I get that. I just didn't know what it was covering or what it was gonna be for. So it's to pay for past bills. Okay.
All right, further discussion?
I'm just concerned about, it seems like every single month, well, the last 2 months at least, we've had to approve transfers of appropriation for the clerk's legal bills. And I assume that we're gonna discuss it further in executive session. But I think that we all need to discuss method and what is this really necessary? What is necessary? What isn't necessary? And how we can, if we can, how we can stymie some of these expenditures and frequent transfers.
That's where I'm at as well.
Anything further? Nothing further. We'll have roll call vote on this, please.
Chapman?
Yes.
Ramish?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Shay?
Yes. All right, the motion to approve the transfer and the town fund of $15,000 from capital improvements to legal services for the clerk has passed by unanimous roll call vote. Our next item on the agenda, did everyone out there pick up an agenda on the way in? You didn't get one?
Didn't know.
Oh, you had your own, okay. Okay. First item is the town fund for a total expenditure of $86,089.34. Do we have a motion on that?
So moved.
I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Chapman?
Yes.
Ramish?
Yes.
Shay?
Yes?
Lawrence?
Yes.
Next is the General Assistance Fund, total expenditures $11,136.72. Do we have a motion on that?
So
Second.
All right, we have a motion. Is there any discussion on this?
Just a comment, it was like 9 persons were helped this past month.
Shame that
Should
people,
be in a check register, right? Or is it more than one, is it possible for more than one check to be issued per each person?
Yes.
there's agendas at the door too for you.
Yeah.
All right, anything further? No further, roll call vote, please.
Chapman?
Yes.
Ramish?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Shay?
Yes. Next item is the Road and Bridge Fund. Total expenditure, $107,434.61. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. All right, now open that up for discussion. Did you have anything?
Just for discussion, I didn't want to remove any bills, but I did notice that, the highway commissioner had, and I suppose it's his discretion, it's his budget, he can do whatever, the road district highway commissioner wants to do with his own budget. But I did notice there were several expenditures for certain employees, like an office employee and then a laborer, I'm not sure what the official title is, a labor employee, to attend the Township Officials of Illinois conference, annual conference in Springfield. As we all know from previous experience, that's several hundreds of dollars when you factor in the hotel, the conference itself, the per diem, food and mileage reimbursements, and we're talking like some significant, some expenditures. And I was just wondering, of course, he's not here to answer it, but I was wondering why we would have, and those of us who have attended this conference before, it's very aimed specifically toward township officials and their duties and network, not only networking, but learning how to do their jobs and learn about changes that have come up in the past year within those positions, new laws, et cetera. So I was just wondering what benefit, if any, there would be to having an employee attend a seminar to basically teach and educate officials. But since he's not here to answer that, I will leave it to his discretion because that's what the law allows.
Tornado warning, sorry. Just came off by
It
itself.
is going off outside?
It's going off outside.
I thought it was your pacemaker.
No pacemaker for me yet.
Okay, that's some good news then. Tornado's better news than that.
So I spoke with Andrew about this. Andrew has recently had 2 of his guys get their CDL licenses. And there are,
It's saying to take shelter
Yeah, I know. You're in
This
the
is where we would go.
Oh, okay, this is the
anyways.
shelter?
Just don't go by the window and look.
Right, don't know.
So there are, oh, get out of here, that microphone. There are opportunities for him to talk with equipment vendors, with, the other road commissioners. So he wanted to bring them down there and, introduce them to the concept of townships of Illinois and see what the classroom things are. So he has a larger expense.
That's all right, that's all right.
Sorry, go ahead.
He has a larger expense now, since he does have a lot of new employees, that is gonna be going towards training. And those are the things that he said he wanted to involve his staff with. That's it.
Before we, unless there's any other statements, Rachel's gonna look up and see what kind of dollar value has been going into this.
Well, it depends on the, I mean, it can range depending on the hotel that they choose, whether they get chosen for conference housing or if they got reimbursed for their housing, depending on whether they drive or they carpool or take a train for $12 on Metro, or, you know, it depends on if they take per diem meals or if they take the conference meals. It varies. So it can be anywhere from, I believe it was $160 something for a full, just a simple
That's how much it is
registration.
Just to go.
Just to pay for the badge to attend, not including transportation, not including hotel accommodations. This is a 3-day conference, which means that it goes Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So it's 2 nights in a hotel for each individual employee. So we're talking several hundreds of dollars per individual.
That's it, and there were how many?
It's three,
Three.
3 plus him.
So we're talking
So
about
for-
$600-800.
Per
That's
person,
it, that's it.
So,
per person,
speaking about that,
for non-township officials.
Andrew and I did talk about having people share rooms. I know that was something that we did in the JCs when we had our conventions. We would stack and pack and put as many people in there as possible, and you know, if we get 2 and 2 or whatever. But he's taken that up as an item for discussion in order to help us to save money on that.
All right, well, thank you.
I understand the theory behind that.
Yeah.
But having been to, and you know, the classes that are in the, I'm sorry, if you call, what are the classes, breakout sessions, you know, the educational sessions, we'll call them, are geared towards officials performing official duties.
Yeah.
And so I'm just, I don't know how it could possibly be a benefit to anyone who, like, I can understand if he was training or replacing, if this was a private corporation, he was training a replacement to take over for his position, but this is just not geared towards an employee type event, in my opinion, but that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I wish I had that question.
No, that's all right. I just wanted a reference and to bring it up to the public.
Okay.
To get an idea of what we're talking about here. All right, any more? Tell you what, we're gonna have to have a surrogate.
I'll call the roll. I got the ready to roll.
All right,
Ready to roll? Okay. Chapman?
Yes,
Ramesh?
Yes.
Shay?
yes?
Lawrence?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. The next item is the equipment and building fund. And the total expenditure for this, shockingly, is $6,285.16, which in government. Enough said, right?
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion.
I move the approval of that.
I'll second it. All right, any discussion on this?
Oh,
Hearing none. Oh, did you have something, Dave?
no.
All right, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Chapman?
Yes,
Ramish?
Yes.
Shay?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
All right, we'll move down now, public comments. Speakers are welcome to address the board give your name, please. And, you have 3 minutes. And I'll keep time. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Joe Gilberton. You were talking earlier about the money for the legal fees. You had to transfer some money over.
Yes, sir.
Is there any way that the township could put them on a retainer? Because by the time the bill comes to the board, it's already done. I mean, you cannot pay the bill. So if you do whatever, we would have an attorney, we would have a retainer. And they could not go over the retainer. And at that point there, you would have a better handle on what's being spent. It's something to consider.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, someone else? Yes, sir.
I'm Jim Wilson. I was really disappointed that unless I can't find it anywhere, and I did look, I was disappointed that last month's meeting wasn't live streamed. And I wouldn't mind if you guys put it on the agenda for next month to make it mandatory that all the meetings are live streamed. Because if I can't make it, I still want to see what happens at the meeting. And with all the controversy and everything that's going on in this township, I think it also makes a nice, documentation of all the meetings as well. So that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Mike Gold. I assume Gaston would have been here, but obviously he's not. All of you received the summary I sent each of you individually about my driveway dilemma. And he just refuses to respond. I'm hearing about all these approvals for legal fees and other appropriations. And I'm talking a $3,200 driveway. And what other option do I have other than take legal action? It appears
Can you
nobody.
describe what happened?
We don't normally debate, but if you would like, you can talk to some of the people that may have a better idea of how it's handled after the meeting. Thank you. And yes, sir, Cal.
Cal Skinner, I live in Lakewood. I was trying to figure out how much townships pay for PACE service covering an entire township. And obviously in McHenry Township, they're comparing, I think I remember $130,000 versus $8,000. And so I asked the Department of Transportation here in McHenry County, what it would cost Algonquin Township to cover Algonquin Township. Now my memory may be wrong, but I think the answer was $10,000. And if that's all it costs, perhaps the board would consider looking into allowing people like me in Lakewood unserved by PACE. Not that I think I've used it once. That's a price that's far less than whatever you're paying for the senior services. And if you decide you want to keep both, that's obviously up to you. But there are massive parts of Algonquin Township that are not saved by or served by what they call McLeod. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else?
Not unless you want to hear something good.
We'd be more than happy. We may even.
Yeah,
All right.
come on.
Okay. My name is Robert Becker. This past weekend, I'd like to announce that there was a Chris Lake South School hosts what is called the Gator Cup. It's the hockey tournament. And they've done this for several years. 50 teams signed up this year. There's 3 divisions, 2 JV and 1 varsity. Well, I'm proud to announce the JV team took first place in this tournament. So it's a proud moment in our township.
Excellent.
All right?
Thank you.
Just thought I'd share something good.
Congratulations.
That was so good, maybe we'll have you bronzed. All right, that takes care of that. Now we have an item on here that's been added. This is elected official reports for items that have been to be brought up from the elected officials in, well, just a minute, I see, did you have something you wanted,
No,
visiting?
the door isn't open.
Oh, all right, well, that, it might not have been good news anyway. All right, this is elected official reports to, bring up items, that they may want to, give us information on or, open up for the future. Dave, you want to be first? You got something?
Let's let Elaine be first.
Oh, Elaine?
I just thought we should mention the September 28 recycling and food drive events that are going on. I don't personally have a lot of details about those, but I don't know if someone else can speak about them.
All right, well, it's gone out. It's been noticed and it's going out here, so.
As far as website enhancements go, they are underway. We have made some modifications to the calendar so that more details about each of our monthly meeting programs are available, so that if people would like to join us or have interest, it'd be easier for them to find what we have on offer for them. So that's something that we are currently working on. I also have a meeting scheduled to speak to someone about potentially producing our township newsletter. So that I will have a report on by the next meeting. And I also wanted to mention that we are going to have township representation at the Cary Main Street Fest, which is coming up this weekend, so that we can again let people know about the services that we offer here. Another item is we are preparing a proclamation to honor Fox River Road for their 100th anniversary, and we're expecting to present that to them at our next monthly meeting. And the last item I have is that I was here over the Labor Day weekend, and I noticed that there was a very large amount of electronic items just sitting outside. And I don't know if those were supposed to be there or not. They're not there now, so they were somehow disposed of, but there was a huge amount of televisions, vacuum cleaners, a whole bunch of other electronic goods.
See, now, TVs are not taken on what they're supposed to pay to bring TVs and their monitors.
No,
This
no, it's free.
First one's free.
No, it's all free.
Yeah, we don't pay anymore, so,
When did that change?
this whole year, it's been to where the receipts themselves are generating for it. So we're not paying for disposing of
To
them.
get rid of TVs anymore?
No, they are through whatever the recycling company is.
Was it open or was it just sitting in front? I thought maybe they shut that thing down
They
when
were
nobody's
It
here.
was all
They were just
closed, and it was a huge amount of stuff as big as this table,
With somebody's basement,
huge,
Theater.
huge amount of stuff.
literally, it was as big as a
The
table.
biggest television I've ever seen, it's just one of the items, but I don't know if that somehow should be addressed, because I took it as, that's not supposed to really be happening.
In the real world, a lot of times if you don't take stuff like that, it ends up out along some spot that's not very popular alongside our roads.
And a lot of the reason that was dumped there was because the specialized recycling is the last Saturday of the month. So, but we moved it up because of the Labor Day weekend. And people still decided to dump all their stuff there.
Yes.
And we advertised it and everything. So that's why all of that was out there. They came, they got mad and just dumped it.
Okay. I just thought I would like to,
Good idea,
someone
no,
needed to know about
should be
it,
mentioned,
and that's my report.
Oh, thank you. Did you have something?
I do. So last meeting we discussed, cleaning out the remainder of the, medical equipment that the township used to, have kind of like a lending closet. There would be people, we never purchased this equipment, this medical equipment, but it consisted of, a couple of dozen walkers, 3 or 4 wheelchairs, a couple of what they call rollators, which are walkers / wheelchairs, dozens of pair of crutches, about 6 or 7 canes, walking canes. I'm trying to think of the other things. But I did contact Yolanda of the Senior Care Volunteer Network, which is who the supervisor's office has been referring the people who inquire about it to for quite some time already. And although they didn't have a need for everything that we had in our back storage unit, but Elaine and I went and took a look at what we had in inventory, and it was just kind of piled up and just sitting there being unused. And so, like we discussed at the last meeting, I went ahead and I sorted through all of the usable materials back in that storage unit, offered first dibs, I guess you could say, to the Senior Care Volunteer Network. They gratefully accepted a couple of wheelchairs, some commodes, some several items, and then the rest was donated to a nonprofit thrift store to benefit a nonprofit agency here in Crystal Lake, and they have locations all over, but they service many people in Algonquin Township. So that has been done. The other thing I wanted to mention is
While you were on that, is that the end of it now? Take care of everything?
Yes.
Okay, that's
So
good.
rather than sitting in a heap in the non-climate controlled garage out back, it's someone in need of it is able to use it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So all of you did a great job. Thank
Well,
you.
it's better than just sitting there.
Yep.
Me and Elaine both thought, well, this should be done, you know. And let's see, the other thing I wanted to mention is on Thursday, October 17th, Senator McConkey is holding a senior health fair here in Cary at St. Peter and Paul Church. And that's Thursday, October 17th from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. It's open to all seniors. I guess I don't have any printed out materials with me at the moment, but it's for resources for senior living in the area. And the Algonquin Township will be having a little table there. And we're going to have, Pam was, I'm assuming you
Chris
compiled
did
this?
that.
Pam, the supervisor's office, the lovely ladies in the supervisor's office were nice enough to compile a list of all the different kinds of entertainment and classes and services that we offer for our seniors here. And from classes and exercise to, specialized recycling, to the bus services, to improved resources about their taxes, assessments, computer classes, yoga, SWAT, which stands for Striders, Walkers, and Talkers, which is a very popular group, actually. I was really surprised at how many people come out for that. Bingo, etc. So this will be a handout, as well as I'm going to be bringing a lot of other different just resources. Not that we endorse any of these, but we do have them upstairs in the township building anyway for people, for constituents to come and find resources for various things: independent living, legal assistance, Veterans Assistance Commission, Senior Care Volunteer Network, Family Partnership Clinic, and then we also have a discount prescription card as well. Those are just things that we'll have at our table just as resources to let people know that the township has many senior resources available to them. So I plan on attending, and hopefully another trustee will join me.
Yes.
Okay. And I'll be in touch with you about the details about that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is our supervisor. We understand that he's recovering. He's had a serious health issue, which is he's been out of commission for around 3 months now. And the information when the health emergency occurred and the absence began, the board was informed that the supervisor would not be able to perform his duties for approximately 3 months, is what we were told initially. Now, 3 months has gone by. We did receive, the board did receive a notification, an email from the temporary deputy supervisor, Letzow, that Supervisor Letzow would not be able to attend this meeting. But I do think that our township pays between salary, benefits, et cetera, over $60,000 a year to have a supervisor. And I think that we should respectfully, without violating any kind of, medical, HIPAA laws in any form or fashion, request just a very general prognosis letter of when can we expect, if at all, Supervisor Letzow to return to work, because I think that we owe it to the board and to our constituents to have a supervisor and to lead our township. And to make appropriate decisions based upon that letter of prognosis. So that's something that we can, as a board, request. And of course, that would have to come from a medical professional, because no one else is really qualified to make a prognosis of that nature. So that's just an idea that I had that I think I'd like to pursue.
Is that it, or you got something else?
That is it.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right, ready for me now?
Okay,
All right. So Michael Goals was here tonight. His situation highlighted something that I've noticed since day one coming on the board here, and that is that while we are Algonquin Township, there are two separate entities as far as the bodies of government. There's the township board, and there's also then the road district. And unfortunately, we don't take care of those things from an operational standpoint. That is the road district that takes care of that. Mike didn't talk too much about what happened, but during a project that was going on, there was damage done to his driveway. The highway commissioner and he had spoken multiple times, exchanged emails. There was a promise that the work was going to be done, and it just followed on for the next 4 emails that there was excuse after excuse, and then finally the communication stopped from our commissioner's end. And Michael, in the meantime, is looking to get his driveway fixed. It's not a big deal from the pictures that we saw, but I did ask Andrew if he would please return Mr. Gold's call and address the situation one way or the other. And so it just highlights, everybody thinks that the township is, all together, and we do talk, and we do communicate. And that's why we asked you to come today and explain your situation, Mike. And I hope that gets resolved.
I just want to add on there that Mr. Goals, and I did get, and I'm assuming the other trustees got as well, a very, very, very long email exchange lasting over a year, or pretty much almost a year.
10 months.
And the one that struck me, the one conversation between Mr. Goals and the highway commissioner, the one that struck me the most is the one from October. I want to say that I'm trying to look through it here, but there is one from October of last year, 2018, in which after several back and forth, Mr. Goals had reached out yet again to the highway commissioner. The highway commissioner replied in very clear terms, please take this as a binding, and he used the word binding agreement, that we shall replace your driveway. And this was due to, as I can see from the previous, from both Commissioner Gosser and from the description from Mr. Gold, that this occurred this was damage, unintentional damage that occurred during the course of the highway department doing some work in the neighborhood. And Mr. Bowles' personal private property was damaged as a result. Now, Mr. Gasser, according to the documents that I've read straight from Mr. Gasser's email, seems to state that he will replace it. Now, as much as I would love to send him a letter and say, you need to do this now because you said you were going to do this, and you've, according to your own account, you've damaged this property, please repair it. As much as I would love to do that, the board and me, as a trustee and member of this board, do not have the power to order or compel the highway commissioner, the highway commissioner, to spend his budget in any form or fashion, just like I was discussing with his, his questioning his judgment on having employees attend a conference for township officials. I can't. I don't have the statutory authority. This board doesn't have the statutory authority to do that. I don't like the idea of yet more litigation. Unfortunately, this board doesn't have the power to force him to do that. As much as I would like it to be resolved, we don't have the power to compel him to do that, and I wish that we did. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but we can't open it up.
Okay.
All right, is that all? Does anybody else have anything?
Darling does.
Well, that's
I
gonna
just-
be,
I would just like to give an update on the supervisors.
all right, if you'd like.
That's all right with you?
Well, I was gonna, at the end of the meeting, I normally open it up for people that have announcements, but go ahead. Al.
Okay. In the supervisor's office, we have, Elaine, you talked about 9 people receiving general assistance. Well, we had met with the director of the mental health area and the social services of the county. She came and met with us at the supervisor's office and gave us so many additional ideas for resources as where we can direct people, not only just people that are receiving the general assistance, but anything from mental health to consumer credit, repairing consumer credit, people that are looking for halfway houses, crisis lines. It was eye-opening of what the resources are available. And since that time, we have actually, just this past week, actually utilized that and referred people to that. And that has opened up also that the employment, what that's the 30th or something of this month?
Yeah.
It's the last week of the month.
Should be on the board.
I should have written it exactly what it is. We are holding a employment conference kind of thing. They'll be helping with resumes.
Yes.
This is not just for the resume, just for the general assistance people. This is also open to the full public. Resume writing, helping with interviews and things of that nature. So these are just some things that we are moving forward with and trying to let the community know that we are doing good things here as well.
The county had a palm card that you could use that had 2 sides on it, that has a tremendous number. Because that's one of the things we do here is when people don't know what to do.
Right.
Reference them to where the people are more specific about what they can do, such as turning point, things of that nature. All right, anything further? I will open it up, like I said, at the end for announcements if anybody else has announcements. All right, we'll move on. Senior committee formation.
All right. Let's,
If he's doing solitaire,
I'm not
making sure that I'm reading the right information to you. All right. Everything I have on there seems to be about the,
Give it a fast run, go ahead.
So we're looking to perform a needs analysis here in the township. And right up front, that would be a needs analysis for our seniors. The largest portion of our population here, and 10,000 people a day are retiring in America. The baby boomer generation is getting here, and there's a need for us to find out what services that we provide that our residents may not know of. We're taking some positive steps with that, and so I thought I need a senior committee, and there is statutory authority to form a senior committee, and I'm looking to have that committee consist of 5 persons. So there would be 2 persons assigned to the Cary, Fox River Grove, Trout Valley, Port Barrington area, and their job, so to speak, would be to go and give a survey to the senior citizens that meet wherever they are. I've been to a couple groups in Fox River Grove and Cary, and then the SWAT team I got to visit with this past month. And then Algonquin Lake in the Hills, there would be another person, so in the center of there, and then 2 persons for the residents that are in the Crystal Lake, Lakewood area, to find out, you know, what it is that they need, want, and what we provide and can share with them. And so I think that's an important thing, especially if we're talking about expending taxpayer dollars. We want to make sure we're spending them wisely. And that's that part of it. I guess.
You want the senior bus also, or?
Well, I do want the senior bus also, but I don't know if any of you have any questions about that.
I have one question about
Yeah.
that real quick. When you're talking about when you were listing off the appropriation of 2, 1, and 2 for the various municipal areas or groupings of municipal areas, or are you also referring to the unincorporated residents service?
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yes. The township areas
Because
that
it's mostly
surround
what,
those.
right, the reason why I asked is because it's mostly, like, for example, I live in unincorporated Cary, but a lot of say I was a senior and I wanted to join like the Park District senior things, I would have to pay out of district or out of, resident extra prices. So I think, something you should keep in mind, and we should keep in mind is how we can cater to everyone equally, because we are servicing all of our constituents, including unincorporated. So I think that's just something to bear in mind.
Sure.
That a lot of resources will be available to those municipal residents that may not be available to the unincorporated.
I'll look into that. All right, that's a good point. Darlene?
Are you talking about the senior bus now? Are you going to talk more about it, or are you glad?
I'm going to talk about the senior bus.
Okay.
As soon as there are any more questions about the senior committee, then
I
what
would
I
say you put together at least a really early draft, so we get an idea of what you're talking about and how we're gonna get people to be interested.
Sure.
Rather than just people who dump their name out there and
Yes.
do anything.
And
A little bit.
I plan to do it just like we did for the trustee applications, is to make it publicized so that people throughout the township know that there's an opportunity. And I expect that we'll get feedback. We have to have.
Not more than 9 members,
Right.
minimum of 1/3 of the committee shall be 55 years of age or older.
Okay, so 1/3 of the committee has to be 55 or older. So Dan, you could be on it.
Actually,
I can- that's supposed to be
trustees
2.
can't be on it.
Right.
Trustees can't be on it.
Darlene?
Is it a paid position?
No, it's not.
It's all
It's not.
volunteer.
Just an advisory, yes. Go play bingo, have some cookies, and find out, find out what our seniors are all about and what they're missing, because that's what I found just in my very short time of going out and talking with a few of those groups, is that they were very disappointed to find out that the township had stopped this or dropped that. And
we made some phone calls and found out that some of the reasons that were given aren't exactly true. But that's, again, that's something for another time. The needs analysis, if it shows us that we're doing the right thing, then we'll continue doing that. If it shows we need to change, then we'll change. We'll bring that up to the board and to the public. Yes, the second item here, and I'll just repeat you because Cal was just like reading my mind or something. I sent this to Cassie at the Northwest Herald. I'm seeking board support for a needs analysis to be presented by December 31st regarding the use of the township bus service. To provide transparency, we'll publish the expenses and income. I have also asked Township of Illinois to help me put together a list of any other townships with bus services so that we can have a sideline meeting at the annual meeting down in Springfield in November. I talked about the senior committee. By them going, I expect that the senior bus will be a topic that would come up in that survey and with the residents, because like I said, the population continues to grow and it's projected to last another 20 years as the baby boomer generation continues its march. It's my opinion, and I don't speak for the rest of the board, but I believe that the need for services will be increasing, not decreasing, and we need to factor this into any decisions we make. We've been in contact with TORMA, which is our insurance agency, to clarify issues which may have erringly been presented to previous boards of trustees, which led to some of the previous discontinuances of services, which residents would said that they would like to have back. And we'll be talking about that in the course of our senior survey. And residents other than seniors, of course, use our bus as well. And we want to ensure that appropriate levels of service continue as needed. We are investigating partnering with PACE to see the possibility to avail ourselves of their program, whereby PACE provides the buses to us, 2 of them, on a $100 per month lease basis. I've had discussions with the program director, and per the program guidelines, there is rigid record keeping required. We take on the bus maintenance, driver training, and there is random drug and alcohol testing of our drivers would be required. Now, no such decision's been made yet, but if we're able to do this, we could potentially sell 2 of our existing 3 buses. So sell the two older buses. The township, speaking about the maintenance, what I would like to do is those townships that are doing this is we could have a spare parts depot, since they are all the same type of buses. Again, reducing the costs and maximizing the cooperation, we enter into an IGA and share the cost of spare parts in the storage area so that we pay less money for them. That's the kind of thinking that it's going to take for us to effectively continue our services, drive down the costs to a reasonable limit. The Township of McHenry has a successful program going, and we plan to learn best practices from them, as well as other PACE program users. When I was on the board in Cary, we had the opportunity to talk about McRide and PACE, and the costs were prohibitive for the municipality to get into it. Based on the number of people that were going to be riding, it didn't make financial sense to us. But in the township, and especially with the unincorporated areas, this could be a good boon to us. I have been having discussions with Road Commissioner Gasser about the plans for the existing 3 buses the township owns, and he told me he's excited to learn more about the PACE program, and we'll work together on any implementations. So right now, this is investigating our residents' needs, formulating a plan, and then evaluating the cost versus benefit, as well as the social benefits to our residents. I look forward to answering further questions as we proceed with our investigating. And I'll keep everybody up to date.
First off, we do have PACE service now. I mean, I don't know how they limit it, but I noticed we've got 2 people near where I live the PACE buses come for.
Yeah. Yeah.
My,
And they take them to the train station.
is that all?
Yeah. And they'll take them.
There's a
Shopping, they must take them
style
shopping, too.
ride that is a little more
McRide?
expensive, yeah.
I don't know what the qualifications are. One of them is what's called a subsidized living thing over across the street. And then there's another one that may be some type of handicap or something like that. I never asked.
Sure.
Previously, the problems always with the system we have now here with PACE was that it wasn't adequate for the requests, because we have so many people compared to, it's one thing if you've got 2,000-3,000 people in a township, but when you got 80-some thousand, it can have a bigger demand. And like I said, I have no idea, but I do know that from my experience at the county, that in a good part of the time, the public was not satisfied with the service because the service supplied by PACE was easily booked or something. I don't know what it was, but they could not supply enough service to take care of the people.
Yeah. All right, I'll make a note of that, and I'll also talk with the county administrator.
When you say that the township owns 3 buses, is that the township or the road district?
That is a good question, and that is something that I needed to find out. I believe that it came out of the road district's budget, so therefore they would own them. Otherwise, yeah, so now we share the costs. They purchase the buses, we share the costs of daily operation, the maintenance costs, and the driver's costs, the fuel. So, but yes, those 3 buses,
The only thing, I've mostly used 2, right? One's a backup.
one is a backup, that's right, yes. And,
Just preference.
yeah, that would still be the plan, so.
Okay.
That's it, you guys.
Any more questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
Would the drivers require a CDL license? I know our current drivers do not have a CDL,
No,
so that would be it.
yes,
And I do know one of our buses is kind of on its last.
yes, and that's one of the 2 that is planned to be sold off. So,
All right. Next, we have, we need a motion to, go into executive session as shown on your unit, but it's, going into closed session for the purpose of discussing pending and threatened litigation pursuant to the ever popular 5 ILCS 120/2C11, and for the purpose of reviewing and discussing closed session minutes pursuant to, get ready, 5 ILCS 120/2C21.
So moved.
second,
And we had a list, does that completely cover what's on this list? All right, we have a motion and a second. This will take a roll call.
Chapman?
yes.
Ramish?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Shay?
Yes. My watch shows at 7:54. Quite often we say it will only be 5 minutes and a half hour later I come out and apologize.
So it's